to happen exactly like that, but that's okay. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Shine Crew. What is going on? Hello, hello. It is, oh my goodness, it is Friday. It is Friday. Good morning, Jamila. Good morning. How are you? What is going on? Good morning, Jan. Good morning. Good morning. So happy to see you guys here with me this morning. Hello, hello, hello. Hey, Miss Rochelle. As everybody is coming in. Good morning. Good morning, Nini. Good morning, Miss Vita. Y'all, can you believe that we're going to be here tomorrow? We're going to be here tomorrow at 1 and Saturday at 1. Sunday. Did I just say that? Saturday at 1 and Sunday at 1. Good morning, Miss Vita. How are you feeling? We're going to be here tomorrow at 1 and Sunday at 1. So Saturday and Sundays at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, just for the month of April. Okay? So I want to share something with y'all that happened last night. I got an epiphany. So I've been taking this class with Rashonda Pratt, and it's all about communication. It's really important to invest in yourself, whether it's you invest your time or your time, your talent, or your money, right? So very important to invest in yourself, to make sure that you stay on top of things. You know exactly what it is that not what it is that you're doing, but to stay on top of knowing exactly what it is that God wants you to do, right? And to always be in a position to learn. Always learn. Always put yourself in a position to learn something, right? And so I've been in this class with her for the past, it's almost 8 weeks. The whole class is 8 weeks long. And I've learned so much about communication. I've learned so much this is all my notes. This is all my notes. And there's like, you see, this here is like pages long. So I really have enjoyed it, right? And some of the stuff that she says, it's like, oh my gosh, this is what I've been telling you guys for like the longest, right? And so it's nice when, somebody else says something that you say, because it's like, yeah, I've been saying that. That's exactly what I've been saying. So, anyway, so last night, hey, Shalina, hey, Patricia, hello, Miss Audrey, hey, Mike, what's going on? So last night, we were supposed to share, the ladies that are in this group, we were on Zoom, and we were supposed to share, what it is that we do. And I was having a hard time with that again, but it was good that I had the previous conversations earlier this week. And one of the things that Rashonda said to me, she said, you need to ask God, who does he say you are? I was like, oh no, she not. Oh no, she not. She said, you need to ask God, who does he say that you are? And so I was like, okay, that makes sense. Because, sometimes we struggle to be who everybody else says that we are, right? And that was my thing. Like, all my life, I've kind of done not necessarily done what people said, but put myself in this box that, that society says I should be in, and so just over the past couple of days, with just some opportunities that are coming up, I'm trying to say to myself, what is it that I do? What do I do? You guys remember I said this to you, right? What do I do? What is it that I do? And nothing, because at this point, I know you guys say you are a coach, because in some capacity I do coach and I do mentor, but that's not like really what I do at this point. I don't have clients, so to speak. So that felt like unnatural to me, right? Good morning, Dr. Lim. And so, I'm like, I can't say I'm a coach. It doesn't feel right. I don't mind saying that I have the opportunity to coach women, and then kind of explain it. But to say I'm a coach, I don't have clients. So it just kind of felt like not authentic to me. Okay. And so I've just been kind of struggling with it. And so last night, during our session, it just boom. When she said, ask God who you are. And I was sitting here at the desk, we were on Zoom, and I'm like, God, who do you say I am? Who do you say I am? And then immediately another woman started talking, and she said 2 words. She said 2 words, y'all. And I was like, duh. I was like, that is what I do. I'm asking, what do I do? What do I do? I even asked my friend when we were talking earlier this week, what do I do? And she's like, this is what you do. And it wasn't until last night, it was like I was looking for something more. I was looking for some big title or whatever. And I said, that's what I do. What do y'all think I said? What do you think it is, girls? Girls and guys? I show up. I show up. So it resonated with me. You ever get to a point where, you're searching for something and finally you find it and it just sits with you? So what I wrote this morning, and I did post it on my personal page, and I pinned it to my personal page, because I finally feel like I know who I am. Is that weird to say? I finally feel like I know who I am and what I do. I don't know. It's weird. It seems weird to say that, right? After all these years and after everything that I've done, like I finally feel like I know what it is that I not just my purpose, right? But I know what I do. And so what I wrote was, I lead by example, inspiring women to come out of the shadows, stop hiding, and as a result, show up for themselves and their God-given assignment. That's what I do. You know how it all came together? I started thinking about you guys and the things you tell me, the messages, the private messages that you send me, the things that you say to me. All y'all say the same thing that I do for you. And it was like in that moment, that's what God showed me. And Rashonda said, you shine with brilliance, Andrea. I was like, wait, what? I was like, yes, I do. I do. That's what it is. You shine with brilliance. I said, I do. I said, I shine with brilliance and I show up. So I'm just so proud of myself that I feel like I'm finally at a point where I can say, this is what I do. I lead by example, inspiring women to come out of the shadows, stop hiding, and as a result, show up for themselves and for their God-given assignment. What? Can I drop the mic? Can I drop the mic? Right, Jan? That's it. That's it. Oh, yeah. I'm a flashlight. Let's go. Come on. We're almost there. Let's go. That is who I've been my entire life. My entire life. If there's ever a cartoon made of me, it's got to be somebody with a flashlight. Like, come on, let's go. We're almost there. Come on, everybody. Come on, everybody. We're not leaving anybody behind. Oh my gosh, my mother's going, that's Andrea. That really is who I've been. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. That was a moment for me. That was truly a moment. Yes, with my glasses.
What did you do in class and school when you finish your schoolwork?
Oh my gosh, they heard the story already.
Remind them.
Gordon said, "What did I do in class? What did I do in class when what did I do? What did I do in class when I finished my schoolwork?" I would go around, walk around to the whole class and stand next to everybody's desk and help them do their work and make sure that they had it done right and make sure they didn't need any help, that they didn't have any questions. And my teacher was always telling my mother, "Your daughter, she talks too much. She's always talking. She's always talking. She's always talking." I would always be the one with my hand up to answer the questions. I always want to have I always want to answer the questions. Anybody say, "Who wants to read this?" Me. And it was it was some very cruel children who caused me to start hiding, not wanting to be the smartest one in the room, trying to dumb it down, not answer questions anymore, just sit back and hold my hands really tight so that they wouldn't laugh at me or think that I'm the teacher's pet, or that I'm a goody two shoes. I've heard it all. And so finally in my life, I feel so free to say who I am, and I'm proud of myself for what I do and for who I am to people. To people. Jamel, I did for what I'm doing on this side. I did. Yes, I did on this side. It's easy for me to say stuff on the other side, but walking into my true purpose and what God is having me to do over here, it was so like mind-blowing to me. Like, yes, this is what feels good. Like I wanted to be so authentic. I wanted it to be so authentic, so real, not something put on, right? Not something put on like people make up these things, right? I was like, no, I want it to be real. And so I like the show up strategist. I like that because I teach people all day long how to show up. I teach people all day long how to show up. All day, all night. and I share my strategy, right? And I show up. Like, it all makes sense. It all makes sense. And Jan said, "And you help us to become free." Thank you. Thank you. Miss Audrey said, "I'm a care bearer." I'm a care bearer. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Ooh. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, Jamel. Absolutely. So anyway, so that felt good, y'all. That felt really, really good. And I wanted to share it with you guys. So I hope that you can get to a place where, you feel really, really good, really authentic, like whatever it is that you do, that you can authentically say, "This is what I do," not a put on, right? Because some people say, "I do this, I help women do this, I help women do that, I help men do this, I help men do that," and they don't even do it themselves. They don't even believe it for themselves, right? So I hope that, and this is why I struggled with it, because I wanted to make sure that what I say is actually what I do. And if I don't do anything else, I show up. I show up. And I know that is what comes off my mouth all the time. And the other thing she said is, ask, what is it that people come and ask you about all the time? What are people always asking you about? And I know people ask me about branding. I'm a certified branding coach, right? I don't have clients. I just use it, to help me and to the things that I do, right? And the women that are part of my assignment, but that didn't feel authentic to me. Like, I know a lot about branding. I am probably the best promoter ever. I am, when it comes to promoting, I know what I'm doing and I do it well. I may not have all the bells and whistles and be able to reach far because of I don't have the reach that some people do, But when it comes to promoting, hands down, I'm the best. I know it. I know it. I do things that people would never think of. God gives me ideas that people would never think of. I do things that people wouldn't do. I think of things that people would never think of. I execute with excellence. I know I do that well. And even with all of that, I was like, but that's not like, I do that, yes, but that just comes along with who I am, because that's an innate thing. I'm a creative, right? But what I do is I show up. I show up. I was just thinking the same thing, Jan. I was just thinking the same thing. So let's get into this book. Let's get into this book. So day 12 is do something that requires you to face your losses. So she said, today I paid my taxes. Ooh, we are in the month of April, y'all. It is the 12th. She says, I know. You might be saying, well, I hope you did, Tab. Let me rephrase that then. She said, I paid my taxes early. She said, who does that? She said, I honestly don't know why I did it, honey. I was supposed to, I suppose it was one of those nudges from God again. So she said it was 2 days before Christmas. And during a meeting with her accountant and business manager about the upcoming tax season, she said, I heard myself say, you know what? Before the end of the year, let's go ahead and do this. Let's go over everything and just pay it. She said, first, it was a very large sum of money. She said, I'm so grateful that I had to pay it. But more than anything, I'm glad I did it because it made me address some things that I didn't necessarily want to. Things that hurt me and opened up wounds that had not yet healed. She said, because of legal issues, I haven't talked about the closing of my restaurant. I'd gone into a partnership with a wonderful man, Neiman, to open a second Kale My Name vegan restaurant in Los Angeles. He owned the original Chicago restaurant, and I fell in love with it while shooting the Chai on location. You good? I love you. Say good morning.
Good morning.
Aw, isn't her morning voice so sweet? Say it again. She's looking at me. Say it again.
Good morning.
Did you see what I posted on Instagram? You should see my last post on Instagram. You're gonna love it. So she said he was already looking to open another location, but needed some help. And I was excited to be the one to offer just that. She said, we opened in December 2021. Does anybody remember where they were in December 2021? She said, and it began very well. It was such a rewarding feeling to be able to feed my community and see people gather and love on each other. She said, sometimes patrons would just break out in song or randomly say, because that's my business. They take selfies and group photos. She said, we had open mic nights that were packed with both people and talent. Unfortunately, around 7 months in, we started having all kinds of problems with the building. Our ceiling started to cave in on our kitchen, and there were so many other physical issues that were making it hard to keep the place open. There was no way we would have opened the business in that building had we known up front about the pre-existing issues that didn't show up in the inspection. She said, when we complained, there was very little response. We still had hope that someone would do the right thing and fix it. Have you ever been in a situation where you just kind of your hands were like kind of tied and you just wish that somebody just did the right thing? Like you just wish that, or you believed that somebody was going to do the right thing, right? She said, when we complained, there was very little response. She said, we had still hoped that someone would do the right thing and fix it. So we didn't say too much about what was going on. But the most we got was a light patch up. No permanent fixes. She said, no real repairs were done. So inevitably, because we couldn't make any headway, guess what they had to do? They had to shut it down and get legal representation to deal with the aftermath. Man, if you have ever had to get legal representation If you've ever had any kind of conflict and you've had to include lawyers, it's not fun. It's not fun. I've never had to do that for myself, but I've had to do it for other people just based on the profession that I was in. And of course, whenever you're in the legal field, people always, ask you questions. They want your assistance. And as a paralegal, by law and by my code of ethics, I couldn't give legal advice. I can't give you my opinion, right? And so sometimes you feel there that as someone trying to help, your hands are tied. But it just getting lawyers involved, it just makes things that much stickier and trickier, right? So she said, so today I'm sitting with my tax accountant, seeing the true impact of the loss of the restaurant. And I'm finally able to grieve it. She says, I've been telling myself up until now, oh, it'll be all right. We'll be able to reopen soon. How many times have you really wanted something so bad and you feel like, man, I failed, right? I failed at that. It didn't happen. But it's like you just holding on for hope that it's going to happen again. And but the reality was staring her in the face. She said her and her business partner thought we could trust our landlord and we couldn't. That's another thing. That's another thing, that sometimes you go into business with people or you do certain things with people that you think that you can trust. You think you can trust them. And then they show you exactly who they are. She said they thought they had a great plan, but they didn't. We thought we were doing something great for veganism, for the community, and we couldn't continue. How disappointing is that, right? So sitting there staring at the numbers, she finally got a chance to sit in her loss and process it. She said she finally got a chance to sit in her loss and process it. So remember, day 12 is do something that requires you to face your losses. And the quote that she used is by Toni Morrison. Failure is just information. If we could really look at failure that way, I think it would be so helpful. It would be so helpful to us if we could really look at failure as just information. Because to be quite honest, that's what it is. But we get our emotions embedded in it, and then we start to attach it to ourselves. We take it personal, right? That's natural. It's natural. That's what we do, right? But if we could just say, okay, this is just information for the next time. For the next time. Failure is just information. Can you say that? Because I think you need to hear it first. Failure is just information. That's by Toni Morrison. If y'all go ahead and tweet that, or do they say tweet that or do they say exit? If you go and post that, please make sure you give Toni Morrison her credit and go ahead and tag on #Shine Crew, because we're trying to build a community of people out there that choose joy, a community of people who help each other to stop hiding, who help to pull people out of the shadows. That's what we do. We the Shine Crew. We the Shine Crew, baby. Failure is just information. That's what we need the people to know today. We need the people to know that failure is just information. When you go and you type that up and you put that out on social media and you add your own hashtag so that your people, the people that follow you, your audience, people who love you, the people who know, like, and trust you, when they see it, they can know that this is a different perspective. Failure is information. And don't just put Toni Morrison's name. Don't just put #Shine Crew. Tell them where you got it, that you were reading this book with a bunch of other people who have come out of the shadows, right? Failure is just information. And if we can accept it like that, we'll get further faster. So she said, I was so happy when we opened. I got a chance to go and meet people from all over the world. And then it just stopped. Shelley said, that quote caused a major mind shift for me. I literally exhaled when I read it. Dr. Lynn said, that is absolutely true about failure. We get information. Society makes us feel like failure means we are bad, like you can't succeed without some failures, right? Failure is just information. That's something I'm going to teach to my daughter. I never said it to her that way, but I want her to understand that failure is just information. It's when you have that information, then when you make your next decision, that's the information you have that helps you to make the next decision. Just don't let it stop you, but learn from it and say, okay, last time we did this, we didn't trust, we trusted our landlord, and our landlord wasn't a good person. So we got to make sure who we getting into business with this time. But don't let it make you say, last time we did this, we failed, so we're not going to do it again. You just got to do it smarter. Okay. So she said, literally all in one day, it was all gone. She said, but you know what? I know God doesn't play about Tab. And honey, in the midst of all that grief, God showed me just how he planned to use this alleged failure. My accountant turned to me and said, Tabitha, this loss from the restaurant actually helped lower your tax bill. Come on, somebody. She said, wait a minute. The loss helped me? She said, yes. She said, baby, ain't that a word? She said, as I took that information in, I realized that she was right in so many ways. So many ways. The loss of the restaurant helped her on her taxes, but it also helped her in other ways. It reveals so many things to her about people, about trust, about friendship, about love, and about understanding. She said, even though it didn't succeed in the way she had hoped, it really helped her in the next chapter of her life. Isn't that amazing? If we could just look at failure as just being information. She says, it's easy to think about grief only when it comes to someone that we love dying, but we grieve in other ways too. We can grieve the loss of a friendship, a marriage, an opportunity, right? Or like for her, a business, because there are a myriad. I never say that word right. Myriad. How do you say it, Ma? Myriad. A myriad of ways we grieve. It's so important that we take time to understand how we feel about our losses. Right? That's why I remember when I told you when I left being a paralegal and then I became an entrepreneur. Well, not and then. It really was, I was an entrepreneur, a parapreneur, I guess they call it, where I was an entrepreneur and I was working as a paralegal at the same time. And then I left my career as a paralegal, and then I just continued as an entrepreneur. And remember how I told you that I allowed my job and who I was in that job, that title, to do what? Define me, right? And so when that was now taken away, was taken out of the equation, right? Now here I was as an entrepreneur without a title, without a title that society deemed a stamp of approval. Right. So then what happens? It's like, who am I? And what do I do? See how long that's followed me? I left being a paralegal in 2014. May 2014. It's when I said goodbye. It's when I retired. May 2014. It's 10 years later, y'all. It's 10 years later. I finally get it. And I finally know who I am. And what looks like a loss may actually be a win. Failure is a lesson or a blessing or both. Yep. Jamel says Warren Buffett said that he would not invest in any business where the owner hasn't failed at least twice. Now you got some valuable information, right? Woo. So she said, she said there's no minimum or maximum time for grief. She says, I know some of us know how to push through it. We just keep going because maybe our lives are such that we don't have time to deal with our feelings. But at some point, honey, you are going to have to sit with that thing. I had to sit with it. I had to sit with the loss of my identity as a paralegal. I had to sit with that. But now, especially today, I know exactly who I am. I know exactly who I am and what God has created me to do. And I know exactly what that looks like. I know exactly what I bring to the table and what I give to the world. And I like this so much better than being a paralegal. I like it so much better. And it's so much more fitting for me. So where I felt like I failed, I didn't fail. I was just information from my future. It's freeing. It's liberating. Some people know how to push through it, just keep on going because maybe our lives are such that we don't have time to deal with our feelings. But at some point, honey, you're going to have to sit with that thing. The one thing I learned from taking the time to grieve the closing of my restaurant, well, to make sure I always take away lessons, right? She says, yes, we may have experienced a loss, but it doesn't have to be a total one. There are things we can take from the experience that will help us to move forward. Things that, at least in business, might mean we don't lose again. As we, like Aaliyah taught us, pick up ourselves and try again. She says, sit with what happened. Think about it. Figure out what you can take from it. Ignoring it and acting like it didn't happen, that only means that you will mess around and have the same thing happen again. All right. She says, so let's address our losses. Let's take time to process them. Even if you must push through the immediate aftermath, don't forget to swing around again and give yourself some room when you can. Okay, I've come to believe that grief is simply a part of our everyday life cycle. It's part of the cycle of life in business, right? In friendships, in relationships. We can't always win, but we can change how we see our losses so that it ultimately ends up feeling like a win. Once you've really sat with your grief, then your next step is to come up with a game plan for moving forward. I guess that the time that I sat with myself and realized that my situation, my job title, my function, my, me no longer being a paralegal, that didn't define me, right? I guess that was a loss for me. And I sat with it. I sat with it, but I never really understood what it meant to move forward, which is why I always say that you've got to just show up. One of the things I shared with one of the ladies last night that said that they were so like they were so afraid to start. And I think so many times we're afraid to start because we're afraid to fail. Failure is just information. And I shared with them how when I first started that I didn't do everything right, but I learned from it. And it's helped me to make it better. And so now, after almost 10 months, we're 6 months away from it being 10 months. I'm so much better at what I do. Is there room for opportunity, room to grow? Absolutely. Right. But you got to start somewhere. It's not going to look pretty when you start. It's not going to look pretty. You're going to learn along the way. But if you can take failure as information and help it to push you forward, help it to fuel you, right? As opposed to it like taking you completely out, then you become better. Okay. So she says, So let's address our losses, take time to process them. Even if you must push through in the immediate aftermath, don't forget to swing back around and give yourself some time to process it, okay? So if you've already had a loss and you haven't processed it yet, and you've kind of been sitting in it, feeling like a failure, feeling like, man, I used to be able to say this, I used to be able to say that, I used to be able to do this, I used to be able to do that. Now you can't do it or say it anymore. So now take a time and sit with that. Take a beat and sit with it. Give yourself time to process it all. Even if it means sitting and just writing it down in a journal, how you feel, how it made you feel. And then asking God, well, who do you say I am? Who do you say I am? Because that's what I had to learn last night when Rashonda said to me, who does God say you are? Ask God who he says you are, not what the world says you are. The world said I was a paralegal, but that's not what God says I am. I'm so much more than that. I have so much more to bring to the table. Of all the experience that I have in my life with entrepreneurship, with being a momager for my daughter, of all the stuff that I've done, all the stuff that I've accomplished, I'm so much more than just when you think about it. The paralegal just had me, in just one, like it what's the word? What's the word? I can't think of the word, but it limited me to just being a paralegal, and it just had me right here. Now I'm so much more than that, right? I'm so much more than that. Jamel says you are needed. God needs you. You just have to spend your intimate time with him so he can tell you in what and where he needs you. That's right. That's right. That's right. Jamila says, bingo. The fear of starting definitely relates to the fear of failing. And we're afraid to start. We're afraid to start because we're afraid to fail. Pigeonholed. That's exactly what it did to me. Pigeonhole. It just put me I just pigeonholed me. Right. But what I'm doing, who I am, what I've accomplished, everything is the world. What they say, the world is my oyster. Like there's so much more that I can do now, and I'm so grateful. I thank God for it. I thank God for it. Has it been a struggle? In the worst way sometimes. Is it worth it? Absolutely. There's nothing like freedom. It's nothing like freedom, right? So she says, I've come to believe that grief is simply a part of your everyday cycle of life. It's part of the cycle of life in business and friendships and relationships. She said, we can't always win, but we can always change how we see our losses so that it ultimately ends up feeling like a win. So, I want you guys to walk away. I always want you guys to walk away with something every single day, right? I want you to walk away with something that you can take into your real life, right? Beyond this live. And I want you to be able to say, I've learned something and I can apply it to my life, right? Not just to feel good like this. Oh, this was so good. I feel good. I feel pumped up. I can make it through the next 48 hours. But I want you to be able to take something with you. And so I really hope that you guys have a journal, even if it's a spiral notebook that you were just jotting stuff down in, so you can go back and look at it and take it in. But this right here, y'all need to write it down in that spiral notebook. We can't always win because we're not always going to win. We can't always win, but we can change how we see our losses so that it ultimately ends up feeling like a win. That is what failure is information means. Failure is only information, right? It's only information. So once you've really sat with your grief, then your next step is to come up with your game plan for moving forward. What is your game plan for moving forward? If you have had a loss, whether, no matter how it came to be a loss, right? But if you had a loss and now here you are, and after you sit with it and you give yourself time to grieve, right? I always say no more than 3 days because a whole lot can happen in 3 days, right? And then you say, you know what? This failure is just information. Now you got to sit. Your next step is to come up with a game plan for moving forward. How are you going to move forward? And that's where the fun begins again, as she says. How are you going to move forward? Come up with a game plan and stick to it. You can't keep starting and stopping like you're playing double dutch with your life. Come up with a game plan and stick to it. She said, now, honey, I don't necessarily suggest you do your taxes right before Christmas, but I do hope today's new thing teaches you to embrace your losses, to take time to process and grieve them, and to realize that sometimes, even with the loss of failure, there can be a silver lining. Okay? So that's on page 99. Y'all, can you believe we're on page 99? I'm just saying. Right? So I'm just going to go ahead and highlight that part because I didn't before. Okay. She said a nugget of something good that you can carry with you into your next venture, relationship, or whatever. Okay. Our losses are not always meant. Our losses are not always meant to make us feel bad. Remember, failure is just information, right? Sometimes they're meant to help us, to push us, to grow us, to shape us. To shape us and to absolutely teach us. That paragraph there on page 99, that's a really important life lesson right there. She said, and remember that Kale, my name, is in Chicago, is still open for business with Neiman, the amazing owner and my forever friend. Please go support him. I just may see you there. And then she said, oh God, I thank you. So she said, do something that requires you to face losses. So on the next page, she gives you some ideas. Host a game night, create a secret handshake, write a poem. Miss Rochelle, I know you'll love that. You got to share your poetry with us, Miss Rochelle. Or if you have a book, we want to buy it. And if you don't, you need to call Farrah. But this paragraph, the second to the last paragraph, if you don't read anything else, you don't take away anything else, take that away, because failure can be very debilitating. Failure can cause you to stop and never start again. But if you can process it as, this is just information, let me process it. Let me grieve the loss. Let me process it. Let me think about what I did and how I can learn from it. Okay, now let me create a game plan to move forward. Okay. So that was good. That was good. I miss Tara. I texted her, but I didn't get a response. She's probably just exhausted. She was working really, really hard and really late last night. So she's probably just exhausted. Because otherwise, she would be here, right? But keep her in your prayers anyway, because we just never know. I don't see Farrah either, so let's pray for her too. Dr. Stevie, I don't see her, so let's pray for her. Just let's always keep in mind, this is our community, right? And when we don't see certain people, let's pray for them. Let's cover everyone who's not here and pray that God be with them, okay? Hey, Patrice. So, whoo, that was good. Tara was on here? I didn't see her comment at all. Oh, she... There she is, y'all. She said, I'm here, but I fell back asleep, y'all. I told you she was exhausted. I told you that girl was working. That girl was working. I told you she was... Well, we're glad that you're okay, Tara. We're glad that you're okay. All right, y'all. So yeah. So that was awesome. That was awesome. Tomorrow is Saturday. And tomorrow is... Eat something you've never eaten before. That's a hard one for me. Well, I did it this week. I've eaten noodles before. She didn't say eat somewhere that you've never eaten before. She said eat something you haven't eaten before. So I don't know about that. We'll see. But that's day 13. And the quote is from Michelle Obama: just try new things. Don't be afraid. Step out of your comfort zones and soar. So I hope that you guys will join me tomorrow and Sunday. I said it right this time. Tomorrow and Sunday at 1 p.m. So that we can go through this together. If you haven't already, please, please, please subscribe. Every time I ask all of you, I get like 1 or 2 people. So I'm going to just try to remember to keep asking. So if you don't mind, please subscribe to the new Shine with Andrea YouTube channel so we can get that number up. Okay. So please go to youtube.com/the @ Shine with Andrea. And if you haven't already, please make sure to sign up for our email list. I am in the process of tweaking the ebook a little bit, but it's not going to be much. You're not going to miss out on much, so don't worry about it. But make sure that when you do sign up, that you check your email, you check your spam, your junk, your promotions folder. Those of you who have Gmail, there's something called the promotions folder that a lot of people don't realize that they have, and a lot of things get stuck in there, right? So just go ahead and sign up with shinewithandrea.com, okay? And remember, invite somebody to come watch. Invite somebody to come and be here so that they can be blessed as well. And if you can't catch us live, you can always catch the replay, because what, Jamel? Replay is Bay, right? Replay is Bay. Hey, Miss Roxanne. That's another sleepyhead, y'all. I think they were up late last night. They were up late last night. So thank you so much for being here. And I hope you enjoyed this week. I'm going to solidify the reel today. You know, I was waiting on somebody and they still haven't got any picture in. So I'm just gonna have to make it, because I really wanted to have it made on Monday, and now we're halfway through the month, and I really want to do this so that when this reaches other people, that they will be able to come and be a part of it as well. Okay, so she said birthday shenanigans took her out. Oh my goodness. So yeah. No, it's not you, Tara. You did your picture. And please, when you post your picture, please post it on the thread, because if you post it anywhere else on the page or someplace else, when I go to get the pictures, I'm going to one place and I'm going to take all the pictures from there. All right. But if you post it someplace else, I will not be able to see it. And check your notifications, because I have tagged some of you and you don't see it. So you got to check your notifications. And I know sometimes Facebook is really wonky. I get it. So, all right, y'all. God bless you. Have a wonderful day. I will see you tomorrow, which is Saturday. Tell your friends, come hang out with us as we go through doing a new thing. All right. All right. Love you guys. Bye. See you tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bye.